Hello everybody. We are back once again. I am Tim with Golf Cart Garage. I am a technician here at Golf Cart Garage. I am a part of the Gearheads on Demand service that we offer. We come here every week. We do some question and answers. This is Thursday, April the 14th. It is noon Central Time. We are live right now on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. This is actually episode 30 of this. This is the 30th time that we have done this. Like I said, if Gearheads on Demand service is a service that we provide that you can actually call or schedule for me to call you. You can schedule an appointment with me if you need to talk with me about any golf cart related issues, or if you think I need to see something, you can even schedule a video session with me. Click the link in the description and it will bring you to the scheduling page if you feel like you need to do that. All right, well, the garage is now open, so let's get started with the questions for this week. This is question number 1. Can an igniter on an EZGO gasoline engine be tested? I bought a new one online, less than $25, along with a new pulsar, ignition coil, and voltage regulator, and still no spark. What's the chance of the cheap igniter is bad? Well, as you probably realize, I take calls a lot. I talk to a lot of people every week, and I can only tell you what they've been telling me. I've had a lot of calls about cheap parts that were acquired from Amazon or eBay, and the chances of a bad igniter are probably pretty good. I mean, I'd say the chances are pretty good because it's definitely not out of the question. So that could be your issue. You could be on the right track there for sure. Let's see here. Number 2, my car wobbles. How to change out my shocks or springs. Well, changing out shocks or springs is not really that difficult, but I would want to go back to the wobbling part. Why would your cart be wobbling? Because shocks and springs are most likely not going to be the cause of a wobble. I would think that the wobble would be caused by possibly something bent. And in fact, if it's a severe wobble, why don't you get someone to go behind you and take a video of it, and maybe you can see the section that is actually causing the wobble, because I don't think it's going to be your shocks or springs unless something is really bent, something obvious. Okay, let's go to number 3. I have a Club Car 2017 Precedent Electric. It only goes about 10 miles an hour. Why? Well, I actually remember speaking with this gentleman about this issue. He didn't really know that it was 10 miles an hour, so one of the things that I advised him to do was download one of those free speedometer apps and put it on his phone and actually clock it and see how slow it actually is. A lot of people exaggerate the slowness or the speed of their golf cart without actually knowing for sure, because the reason that I want him to do that is because stock golf course speeds, the golf courses have a speed limit, and when the golf pro orders a fleet of golf cars, he can have them set to whatever speed he thinks is appropriate for his particular course terrain, like if he is on a hilly course or if he's on a flat ground course. Or, I mean, who knows his clientele better? He may not want his clientele to be going out there and going really fast. So stock golf course speed, it can be somewhere between 12 and 14. So I want him to clock his car and see if it's between 12 and 14. If it is, that could be perfectly normal. It could be that his cart is just programmed for that speed, because that is a programmable controller, and that he could bring it to Club Car and have them plug in their little computer and they could speed it up a little bit for him if he needed to. So that's what we talked about on that issue. Let's see, number 4. I tried this season storing my golf cart at my campsite, but it didn't seem to work out like I have liked for it to. I put the cart on jacks, filled the batteries with distilled water, and put it on a trickle charger. This past weekend, it would not start. The batteries were empty, and when I turned the key on the dash panel, lights up but no power. I refill the batteries with water, hoping to charge back up. This is what it's showing me. What else can I do besides buy 4 new? I remember speaking with this gentleman this past week also, and what he said there is that he put his car on a trickle charger, and it basically boiled the water out of his batteries. So depending on how quickly that happened, his batteries sat there dry. He was gone for a long period of time, and then when he returned, his batteries were dry, didn't have water in them, and now they don't have any power. So his trickle charger basically possibly could have ruined his batteries. He's going to fill them back up, and I told him to take them one at a time and see if he could get them back, charge them with a 12-volt charger one at a time, see if he could get them back up. He may or may not be able to, but his age of his batteries was right there at he had 4 12s. They were about 3.5 years old, so he was right there at the time where he possibly needed to get a new set anyway. So he just wanted to talk to somebody and get verification that that's a possibility. And I told him it's a possibility either way. He could get them, he may be able to get them back, or he may not, and he may have to buy a new set, and then he'll be fine. And I don't recommend trickle chargers like that. It's better to have a charger like we sell at Golf Cart Garage, the Summit 2 charger, because it has a storage mode function on it where it doesn't trickle charge. Like a trickle charger continuously puts in constant voltage to your battery pack, and that's what causes that's what can cause your batteries to boil out all the water. You need a charger with what is called a storage mode function, where the charger actually shuts off. It shuts off for a period of time, then comes back on, recharges the car, and then shuts off again. It doesn't constantly keep voltage going into your pack. That's the kind of charging system that would be best for long term. Let's see. Number 5. EZGO TXT Electric. How do I test a solenoid to see if it's bad? What I always like to tell people about the solenoid, the solenoid has to activate in order for your car to run. Okay? The easiest way to check it to make sure all that's working correctly, a lot of people seem to automatically worry about the big post on a solenoid. Well, I like to worry about the 2 small posts. That's the activation coil. So I put a voltmeter on the 2 small posts, golf cart in gear and forward, and I step on the gas pedal, activate the gas pedal, and look at the voltmeter. When you step on the gas pedal, you should see full battery pack voltage at those 2 small posts. If you do see full battery pack voltage and the solenoid does not click, then it's a bad solenoid. It's welded inside, or something's wrong with it inside, internal, and it's not allowing it to move, because you get full battery pack voltage at those 2 small posts and click, and that's what makes the solenoid click and close. Once it's closed, then you get power to your controller and to your motor. This is number 6 from Butch. My EZGO Electric 2006 will run for a while, then just stop. I put a new pedal switch on it, and the part the rod goes in and out of. Car won't continuously run. I know what you're talking about. You replaced the micro switch and the ITS. The ITS is the part that the rod goes through. It's a proximity switch is what it is. Like, depending on how far the rod is in the tunnel, it changes the signal that goes to the controller. So if you did that and that wasn't it, your car still stops. Well, I would have some questions. Like, I would want to know, is your car lifted? Is it a PDS? Is it a lifted PDS on the stock controller? Because they don't really like that much if you have tall tires on a lifted PDS with a stock controller, unless you're just riding around on flat ground. And what will happen is that the controller will get really hot, and it will go into what's called thermal shutdown. So does this only happen after you've been riding on hills, or you've been going up a few hills, or does it actually happen on just perfectly flat ground? So I would have questions like that before I could go any further with it. All right, number 7. How do I properly set the speed, region, accel knobs? I live in a hilly golf course area. I have 4 Allied lithium batteries, 48 volts, in a club car with a 600 amp controller. My speed settings get me to about 22 miles an hour. My distance to travel is about 30 miles on a single charge and various speeds. My regenerative braking was adjusted by the cart builder according to my comfort level. My issue is trying to eliminate the surging I'm experiencing at low speeds. I've dialed back the accel knob to the lower green area. That seems to help. Any further suggestions? Well, from what you're describing, it sounds like you may have a 𝗶𝗏𝘁 controller with all the different adjustments where you can adjust your throttle curve and you can adjust all the different things in there. And that's good. You're doing what you're supposed to do. But you still have a club car, and that means you have a 48 volt club car, and that still means that you have an M core. Now your M core is the device before your controller. Okay, even your new 𝗶𝗏𝘁. Now your M core sends a signal to the 𝗶𝗏𝘁, which sends a signal to the motor. If the M core is surging, the M core could be the cause of your surge. And you may be able to dial it down some with your controller, but you're never going to get rid of it completely because it's the M core that might be doing the surging. So I would look into that if I was you. If you can't seem to dial it out, I would look into your M core as being the problem, if you can't dial it out with your controls like you were saying. Let's see, number 8, this is from Catherine. I have a 2001 Yamaha gas cart. Last summer, I had my friend put a new air filter, spark plug, and 2 gas filters, and he changed the belts also. Oil was added. It worked fine for a while, then suddenly, after I stopped for a bit, it wouldn't run when I stepped on the gas. It was like there was no gas going into the engine. Can you help? Well, my question would be, when you step on the gas now, is it turning over? Is the golf cart turning over? Is it trying to crank? Is the engine spinning, trying to crank when you step on the gas now? Or is nothing at all happening? Because if nothing at all is happening, then I would be looking at the pedal stop switch. It's the switch under your accelerator pedal. Yamaha has I don't know if it's a secret access panel, but they got a little access panel under that floor mat. Also, the floor mat on a Yamaha is easy to raise, and there's an access panel there. When you pull that access panel up, you'll see the switch I'm talking about. Now, see if nothing's happening. Now, if something is happening, if the engine's turning over, it's just not firing or not cranking, then what I would do is I'd crank it in neutral. I'd put it in neutral and try to crank it in neutral with the seat raised, and look at your fuel filters and see if you can tell if gas is flowing, if gas is getting to the carburetor or not. You know, or did you just run out of fuel to your carburetor for some reason, like the fuel pump went out or something like that. That's what I would be looking at first. Question number 9 is from Dennis. A 2001 Club Car DS. My club car is experiencing loss of power. When I press the accelerator, it starts to take off, but then engine RPM drops off to the point where the cart won't move, even though the engine is still running. I can push the accelerator to the floor and RPM does not increase. It just sounds very weak. This happens in reverse as well. The club car was running fine before. Belts are somewhat warm, but serviceable. Does it sound like an ignition coil issue or RPM limiter? Thank you for your help. Well, it could be lots of things. I would want to verify first. I would want to verify that you're getting fuel to the carburetor, not only to the carburetor. That can be done by either, like I was saying on the last question, you can see it coming through the fuel filters, or you can remove the fuel line off the carburetor and crank the car over and see if fuel is spurting out. That would verify that you are getting fuel to the carburetor. Then I'd want to verify that you're getting fuel past the carburetor. And the way that you could do that would be to check the spark plug and see if the spark plug is wet. Because if you're cranking it over and you've got your foot on the gas and it's not cranking, that could mean that the spark plug is not firing, and that's when we would go to some of the electronic devices that you mentioned in there as being the problem. But I would want to verify that the fuel is not the issue first, and then verify that spark is not the issue. Number 10, I have an EZGO TXT 2-year-old batteries. Just bought a charger on eBay, new with idiot lights on it. It continuously runs. It does charge, won't shut off. I turned everything off, removed the negative terminal wire, and it sparks like there's a continuous load on it. What could be the problem? Thank you, Bill. First of all, the charger that you got from eBay, my question would be, is it an automatic shut-off charger? Because I don't know how inexpensive this charger was. Does it say that it's supposed to shut off automatically? So that would be my first question. And as far as your battery sparking when you have the cable on the negative post goes, if your car has a run tow switch, just make sure that you put it in tow before you do anything with battery cables. That can cause a spark, but even a small spark is still a little normal. I mean, you still have a whole system there that the power goes through, so I don't think you could ever do that and get absolutely no spark. There's a small spark is normal, but put it in tow would help a lot. Also, in order to verify, like if your charger is working, take a voltmeter reading on your batteries before you plug your new charger in, and then after you plug it in, take another voltmeter reading on your batteries and make sure that voltage is rising. And then after you've had that charger running for a long period of time, put your voltmeter back on your battery pack just to see how many volts you have going in there, because it shouldn't, if it is supposed to shut off, it may not shut off until you get up to like 60 volts, and that would be perfectly normal. So you might want to look for that also before you jump on the charger is not working correctly. All right, let's see here. I have a JE1709 Club Car. The batteries are original, but check 48.8 volts. The negative cable sparks excessively when attached to the negative battery terminal, and the battery light flashes. What could the problem be? Where do I start? Very similar to what I just said on the last question. If that car has and I know this car does because it's a Precedent, a run tow switch. So put the car in tow anytime you work on battery cables. Anytime you remove cables or reattach cables, make sure the car is in tow. And like I said, a small spark is normal, and that can cause your battery light to flash also. Number 12 is from Ben. I have a 48 volt 2014 EZGO RXV golf cart and want to switch to a lithium iron phosphate battery. Can you help me estimate the current amp draw while going up an 8% grade? Will 120 amps be adequate? Do you really want to know the amp draw when going up an 8% grade, or do you want to know what amp hour lithium battery that you're trying to convert to? Would be my question. I'm not sure exactly why you would need to know the amp draw unless the battery manufacturer has said something to you specifically about, I need to know how many amps you pull so I can size your battery. Is that what they're talking about? Well, I can tell you this, anything over 100 amp hours would be plenty. That'd be plenty for you, and you would have a massive amount of range also. So if you want to talk with me about this more specifically, because I have too many questions that I needed to ask, click the link in the description and schedule a phone call with me, and we'll go over this a little more deeply. Number 13 is from Mike. Cart won't go. backgrounds. A carry-all 2 48 volts, new batteries, new solenoid, new charger receiver, new forward and reverse switch. Problem is all is going well. System goes when pedal is depressed. Can go for hours around the ranch doing chores. Then I stop, get back on, and then it's dead. Pedal action, but no go. 1 click, but not 2. When I depress the accelerator, wait 5 minutes or less, and it's back to normal. This can go in for hours. Sometimes it will stop 4 or 5 times in the hour and then go back to normal. It's not a vibration-induced short because it runs fine over rough land with no cutouts. Any thoughts? Appreciate your support and thoughts on the subject. Enjoy your YouTube channel. Thank you, Mike. I'm glad you enjoy the channel. Here's the deal. Depending on what year carryall you have, you either have a 𝗶𝗿 potentiometer or you have an M core. Now, both of those potentiometers have a micro switch that is activated every time that you touch the accelerator pedal. Now, over time, you can develop a sticky micro switch. That could explain why sometimes it releases itself or comes back to normal for no reason with no explanation. That could be that would be the thing that I would look at first to see, and it would be real easy in the 𝗶𝗿 because you can see it. You can take the cover off of the 𝗶𝗿 and you can look at the micro switch. Now, if it's the M core, this micro switch is on the inside, and you would have to either do you'd have to get into some deep test involving insulation piercing probes, and or you just replace the M core. So it depends on which one you have, but it's very likely that could be the source of your short that you're looking for. It could be the accelerator micro switch, whether it's in the 𝗶𝗿 or if it's in the M core, depending on which one you have. Okay, number 14. This is from Richard. 48 volt EZGO won't charge. After about a week, the cart won't charge. I checked battery voltages and each one is 7.7 or 7.8 with no load. The cart does go forward and backwards, so I know the batteries aren't dead. And I plugged the charger into my cart and it started charging. I don't know what to do next. Okay, I'm not sure that I completely understand the question. But I'll point out a few things. 7 point something volts on an 8 volt battery is really dead. Even 8.0 volts would be considered dead in a golf cart battery pack world. You should have 8.3 or something like that in your battery pack. 8.3 or more on a fully charged 8 volt battery, or even a barely charged 8 volt battery could show 8.1. So the 7.6, you've got to fix all that first. Now, I'm not sure what you're asking me. I think you might be asking me if your charger is working correctly. Well, let's get if you have one, I think you said something about your neighbor's charger. I seem to remember speaking with you, I believe. But if you have access to another charger, charge your cart all the way back up first with a working charger. And then we'll go from there, because if you have an old transformer type charger, it could easily be repaired because parts may still be available for it. Let's see here, number 15. The EZGO cart charger only goes up to about 7 amps on the gauge. Does that mean the charger is junk? Not necessarily. Normal golf cart operation, the golf cart, you'd get through with it for the day. You'd come in, you'd park it, you'd plug your charger in, and your charger would jump up. If it's a 36 volt cart, it may jump up to like 20 and then start slowly dropping throughout the night. If it's a 48 volt cart, it may jump up to like 13 and then slowly drop throughout the night until it eventually shuts off. If you're using the cart and you bring it in, it only goes to 7 amps. Then I would have questions about your batteries first. I'd have to question, how old are they? And then I'd want some battery readings to see. I have seen the transformer type chargers with the amp gauge. I have seen one diode go out and they put out half power, which would be about 7 amps on a 48 volt car. So I'd have questions about that. It could be one bad diode in the charger. I'd love to see you be able to try another charger on your battery pack first, so we can eliminate your cart as being the issue, eliminate your batteries as being the issue right off the bat. Then we can concentrate on it being your charger. Let's see here, number 16. This is from Ray. He has a 2005 Precedent Club Car Electric 48 volt. What is the part I need to replace, as accelerator is starting to not work in forward? I have to put in reverse, and then when I return to forward, it will work sometimes. Sometimes takes more than one sequence of reverse forward to get it going again. Well, in your particular electrical system, you have two devices that are responsible for switching your car from forward to reverse. One of them is the actual switch itself, the button that you're pushing. You know, that can go out and just, you know, have intermittent contact. You know, from think about how many times that button gets pushed back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, eventually it could wear out and it could cause you an issue. That's one thing. Well, the next thing in your particular electrical system that is responsible for switching the polarity to your motor is the controller. The controller is involved in switching polarity in your situation, in your electrical system that you're using. So it's going to be one or the other. So if it were me, I would be concentrating. If you didn't really want to worry about testing, the forward and reverse switch itself, the little push button, that's not very expensive. So you could eliminate that one right off the bat just by replacing it and see if that solves your problem. And if not, then it's going to be your controller. And then obviously that's a lot more expensive. Let's see, number 17. This is from Ken. Club Car DS heel brake issue. I have a 2001 Club Car DS I bought used. Everything works except the emergency brake does not engage. Is it likely the pawl missing or worn? Yeah, I know what you're talking about when you say the pawl. I think that's actually what it's called. It's the locking mechanism on the emergency brake on a DS Club Car. I have seen them worn to the point where they don't latch anymore, and even the spot where they latch. If you'll look at how it works when you press the emergency brake, you can see all this from the top of the car. You might have to lay on the ground to see a little bit of it, the action that we're talking about from the bottom of the car, but you'll see where the pawl actually latches. And that spot where it latches can get worn too. It's not necessarily the pawl that gets worn, but the spot where it latches can get worn. Now, there is an adjustment there. I don't know if you've seen behind the pedal. You look behind the brake pedal, and there's a clip that you have to move out of the way and pull it off, and then screw this thing down. You can change the length of that rod. That's the emergency brake rod, but there's an adjustment on one end. Sometimes you can adjust that to make that rod either shorter or longer, and it will help that pawl get a better grip. So you might want to try that. Let's see here. Number 18 is from Donna. Using an air compressor to inflate back tire, but it's not inflating, 0. I put in slime, the tire repair, and tried again, nothing. Well, if you're trying to inflate a golf cart tire and nothing's happening, then obviously your air is escaping somewhere. So that leads me to believe that your beads are one of your beads on your tire. The tire has gotten so flat that the golf cart has actually popped one of the beads off. So air's going in the valve stem, but it's coming right out of the side of the tire because the bead's not back in place. One thing that I have found that can help in that situation is don't try to air it up with the tire smushed on the ground. Like get the wheels off the ground, like go with a floor jack or something, some type of jack, and get the weight off of the tire. That puts the beads back in a decent spot, puts them closer to being sealed, and then try your air compressor thing again. And if not, have somebody manipulate the tire on the rim while you're trying to put air in it. That may help also. Let's see, number 19. This is from Zach. Golf cart charger got wet while plugged in. I have dried it with the sun and fans. When plugged in now, I hear the hum of power current, but won't charge and lights don't come on. What needs to be replaced, repaired to work again? I have a 14-year-old car, well maintained, and hope to not have to buy a new charger since it's over $300. Car is a 6-seater Star. Thank you for any assistance. Well, the bad news is that chargers don't like to get wet, especially transformer type chargers. They do not like to get wet. You most likely would have to replace the board. I mean, that charger is going to have just a few components. A transformer type charger only has a few components, and if it's a solid state charger that we're talking about, you can't replace anything anyway. But if it's I think it's going to be a transformer, since you said it was 14 years old. There's very unlikely that the transformer is bad. It's most likely that the circuit board, there's going to be a main circuit board in there that's bad. It might have a relay on it. The relay may be separate. You may have a couple of diodes inside there and a capacitor. That's about all that's going to be inside that charger. So if you could find that circuit board replacement for whichever particular charger you have, that may fix your problem right there, because they do not like moisture at all. Let's see here. Let me go over to, that's it for the regular questions today. Let me go over to Facebook and YouTube, see if we got anybody over there. Let's see, we're on Facebook. We got Billy Strawn. He says, "Hey Tim, we talked on the phone before. You were super helpful." Oh, thank you, Billy. I'm Bill from Oklahoma, and we talked about me changing out almost everything. New motor, new controller, lithium battery, new pedal box. Let's see. Which one would you go with? Second, if I do, can I go ahead and get rid of my 𝗀𝗶𝘁 since I'm doing all new battery and charger? Enjoy your show, and I will be standing by for your answer. So after you've done a complete, 𝗀𝗶𝘁 electrical bypass, you can remove it. And I think I remember talking with Billy, and we talked about lots of helpful information on one of the main golf cart forums. And there's a big section on there on bypassing the 𝗀𝗶𝘁 and actually removing the 𝗀𝗶𝘁. And I remember we talked about everything about that. So yeah, the answer, let's see, what is your question here? We talked about the 𝗀𝗶𝘁. I've decided to go ahead and change out to a new pedal box. Best to go with. Oh, okay, you're talking about you decided to go with another type potentiometer on your car. Well, that just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. There's a very inexpensive potentiometer is it's a 0 to 5K potentiometer. That would be the easiest one. That's what I have. I have a really fast golf cart, and that's the one that I used, with just a regular 0 to 5K potentiometer, because most controllers can be configured to accept that type of input. So that's what I would look into there. And if I do go ahead and get rid of the 𝗀𝗶𝘁, since I'm doing all new battery and charger, yes, then you can do that. Just it's going to be a different system though for your particular electrical system. So do what we had talked about with that forum and make sure you're narrowing down exactly what to do for your exact particular electrical system on that. Let's see, I'll come back over here. Let me go to YouTube and see what's going on there. Let's see, you got Judd M in the chat. What's up? What's up, Judd M? And we got 𝗀𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗀. Can I hook up a USB off a live feed? Well, those USBs are most likely going to be designed to hook up to 12 volts. So you're going to have to find 12 volts or you might ruin it, because those are just accessories, and most all accessories are designed to run off of 12 volts. So you got to be careful there. If your car has 6 8-volt batteries, you're going to have a voltage reducer in order for that to work. Judd M, thanks for everything you do for the golf cart community. Well, thank you, Judd M. That's cool, man. I appreciate that. Got something from Golf Cart Garage. Looking and sounding great, Dr. Tim. Thank you, Golf Cart Garage. Now, they might be a little bit biased, though, just a little bit. And this is from 𝗀𝗵𝗵𝗀𝘃. Hello from the Florida Keys. What's up, Florida Keys? That's where I got married, in the Florida Keys. Let's go back over here to Facebook. Okay. I'll check it one more time before we leave here. I'll check everything. Let's see. We've gotten to the point now where we're going to talk about Tim's tech tip for the week. I've seen this happen. Doesn't happen very often. Every week I try to think of something that has come up and could help somebody out in the future. Well, nowadays, most golf carts out there have a run tow switch under the seat. It's just a toggle switch, and it says tow/maintenance or run/tow. I have seen it happen in my golf cart shop where people don't really understand the importance of that switch, and their cart will go dead for some reason, maybe in the woods or maybe out on the golf course. It'll go dead for some reason, and they get it towed in and they don't put that switch in tow. It's unlikely that would happen if you were towing it with another golf cart, because you would feel it pulling back on the golf cart you're towing it with. But it could happen if you towed your golf cart with like a full-size vehicle, like if your golf cart went dead in a pasture, and then you went out there in your truck and you hooked to it and you had to pull it back, pull it back home. Well, don't forget to put that run tow switch in tow if you're going to do that. Anytime you tow a golf cart, it can cause significant damage. I have seen them; they literally will burn up everything expensive on the golf cart if you don't put that in tow and forcibly tow it with the golf cart in run. It's a bad thing what happens. The motor turns into a generator, which actually burns the motor up itself, and it can burn your batteries up and burn your controller up. So anyway, that's the tip for the week. If you have a run tow switch, don't forget that you have a run tow switch, and if you use it, if you have to get your car towed, remember to use it and put it in tow. All right, let's go back over to Facebook. Nothing new there. We got Billy Strawn says thanks. Exactly. Appreciate everybody in the live chat today. Thank you for coming. We always like to see that. So it looks like that's going to be it for this week. That was episode 30 from Golf Cart Garage. Don't forget, also, go to the website golfcartgarage.com. Look for this. This is Extreme Golf Cart Makeover Season 2 with Dave. Dave's doing some cool stuff with an EZGO TXT. You can enter to win cash and prizes. Look for this logo on golfcartgarage.com and enter to win. You never know. You never know what might happen. Also, if you feel like you need to speak with me about any golf cart related issues, you can schedule an appointment and I will call you. You can either schedule a regular phone call or you can schedule a video session with me. Click the link in the description. That will take you to the Gearheads On Demand segment at Golf Cart Garage. It's a very simple scheduling page. You just pick an available time slot and I'll be there. And expect my call. All right. It looks like that's going to be about it. Let me check over here. That's done. Let's see, YouTube. Yep, looks like we're done there. All right, that looks like it's going to be it for this week for episode 30. The garage is now closed.